All right, you got 60s coming up. We've had 60s for another day and a half or so, but we were dealing with 50s. We were dealing with 30s overnight. If anything, these numbers have come up nicely, and look at the winds have come down, so we're not talking about any wind chill. All the airports look pretty good. 13 first alert satellite picture. Sometimes it's adequate enough to show you what's not there, but let me show you what is there. Not so much in our neck of the woods, but look at this. It's definitely offshore. Seeing all that cloud cover, I wouldn't be surprised if we drag some of that up, but so far high pressure's done a really good job of keeping that away. The high pressure is built in so well. Let me just show you where that jet stream is at. I mean, well off to the north, and it's staying that way. So it's keeping any sort of stormy activity, because remember, that's the dividing line between our cold air to the north and our warm air to the south. And as long as it keeps it all to the north, and those storms will ride up and over it, it keeps us nice and dry. So the jet stream doesn't create the weather, but it does steer it along nicely. And when it steers it out of our way, all we see is sunny skies. And if high pressure was even stronger yet, we might actually be seeing those middle 70s again, and that would be incredibly unusual for this time of year. But what we'll likely get, kind of pushing in that cold air mass and now squeezing it out again, I think we'll just stick in the 60s to almost 70 degrees. So we'll have some nicer days ahead, but you can see it sticks around through the middle of next week. That's, I think, the most interesting part, is the longevity of it. You know, sometimes we'll get high pressure poking in for a few days, but this time, it's around for the long haul, so that's nice to see. I guess if you wanted a little warm, if you have guests in from out of town this month, then they're going to really enjoy this weather. But it's still 60s for the most part. Overnight lows pretty much in the 40s. My feeling is North Las Vegas, you'll be right there, middle 60s to right around 40 overnight. Afternoon highs likely right around 61. I'm thinking for Summerlin, so it'll be maybe just a little cooler there, but 39 overnight. I think that one of our few 30 spots plus, you know, right around 39 Henderson, 65 degrees. Here's the way it pulls out for the weekend. We hold on to those middle 60s. That's kind of the pattern. It's a fairly stable, kind of benign pattern for the next many days. Overnight lows right there in the 40s. I think afternoon highs hold on to those 60s for a good bet across the board. And finally, we've been tweaking the numbers up and down a little bit, but mostly up for next week. Middle of next week looks like the week will have the chance to be 68, 69, probably 70 degrees in some areas there. And that's for several days worth, so won't that be nice? So eventually some of those higher thin clouds do penetrate high pressure, and we see them come into the picture. It'll make for a nice sunset. But I think the bigger story is how these middle 60s turn into upper 60s to almost 70, and we are in December, and this is why we live here. And overnight lows got out of those nearly freezing 30s and get practically to 50 degrees overnight. And there probably will be a few 50s overnight by the middle to the end of next week. All right, Carla.